show today. Today we are going to talk about something which is serious, which is very important, and yet very interesting. You must have noticed that different business owners have different kinds of leadership style, and at the same time, it's difficult for many business owners to adjust their personal preferences and their ego with their professionalism. And this is what we are going to talk about today. So, Fleming will be discussing how ego can affect the performance of leaders and how this can be corrected by just making a few changes. How are you, Fleming, today?
Good morning to everybody. I'm great, I'm good. Always remember, ask questions. The more questions, the better we become, all of us. That is one of the things. Yes, today we are going to focus on ego and how ego is standing in the way of performance. How ego actually
Yes,
is
definitely.
isolating the leader from stakeholders, clients, employees, culture in an organization. That's actually the problem because the ego is narrowing the perspective of the leader because he's so blinded of his ego, he's so blinded of his success that he don't see anything else. So he got a lot of
Yeah.
blocks and he got a lot of blind spots. So
So
the
when you say
part here
blinded
is
of success,
yes,
yes, Fleming, when you say blinded of success,
yes.
what do you refer to? You feel that all of a
You
sudden he
see,
starts feeling that he's all powerful and he has control. Therefore,
yes,
he can do everything or anything by
yes,
choice, regardless
yes,
of the consequences. Do you mean this?
yes, yes. That's what I'm saying. Because his perspective is very narrow. He's only seeing his belief and he's not having ears anymore. Those disappeared. And he's not having
Right.
eyes anymore
Right.
because his
Right.
beliefs are very, you can say, very focused on him and his success. He's also a target, you can say, because he
Okay.
needs to perform and he believes that he knows everything. So he's relying on himself. But there is actually three perspectives here when or there are three things that is influencing the ego of a leader. You see, when Carlsberg in Copenhagen got their CEO of the Carlsberg Group, Copenhagen, worldwide, Carlsberg, we know the beer. They, their CEO got a key card to an elevator who was only bringing him and nobody else to his 20th floor where he could sit in his office and view all of Copenhagen. Luckily, this guy, because he started and he was there 2 months, then he said, you know what? I'm not going to get blinded of a bigger salary. I'm not going to get blinded of a very large office. I'm not going to get blinded of these perks because I'm totally isolated. I don't know the culture of the company. I don't know the employees. I don't see the clients. And what about the stakeholders? So he asked to be moved to an open office on a lower floor. And that's where the culture of you can say the culture of a company comes in. What is the culture of the company? A CEO or a leader, is he placed in a closed office? Is he giving benefits and perks? Are those
No,
perks?
no. Yeah. See, if the CEO or the leader is sitting isolated in a closed office away from his people, the
Yeah,
company might not be able to work the way it is expected to work because
of course
people
not.
will lose off and on a sense of direction. They might also lose the sense of connectivity. They might
Yes,
lose motivation. They might
yes,
also lose on their idea of what excellence is. They might also
yes,
not be able to grasp the values and the belief system of the company. Hence, the list
yes,
goes on and on and on, and there will be big
yes.
trouble.
Because the leader is no longer connected to stakeholders, clients, employees, culture in the company. So that's where we can say sometimes the culture of a company goes wrong. Because if you isolate the leaders in this way, First of all, they get the perks, and they may think that they found the internal answer to being a leader. They got a big salary, a big office, all that kind of stuff. But they are not at all connected. So that's where they're losing the performance. The other part is that it narrows the field of vision, it narrows the perspective of the leader because he's no longer connected to the people. And he may
Yeah,
be blind spotted, he may be have blind spots because he's now elevated to sit up there
true.
in his big I in his big office. So the other part
Yes.
is that he the part is here that by this he he's actually by the power he got.
Yeah, by the
The
power
other
he
part is
got.
that yes, the part is that the people surrounding him. That's another part because now we have the culture of the way the leader is treated by the company culture or he's put away. The other part is that the more power we get, we may be good at something, and the reason we were good at something is the reason we now become a leader.
Right.
But that's and we need to lead people. But the
Mm,
part is that the people may listen more attentively to us. The part is
right.
that they may agree more and laugh more at our jokes just because we got a position.
Yeah.
And that's
I
actually
have a
tickle.
point here. I have a
Yes,
point here. You
yes,
use the word power twice, and then the use of power, the phrase was said once. Yes, having power is something which is with every leader. Like he exercises different levels of powers according to
hmm
his position. Like you said, positional leadership is there. It's there. And that is the case with all leaders. Even if it is a one person owned business, the use
yes,
of power is there. And the
yes,
distribution of power depends on the leader himself, how he handles it, how
yes,
he delegates authority to his
yes,
team.
yes,
However, when it comes to the power of a leader,
yes,
I believe that ego is boosted through that power. And there can be two kinds of uses of power. One is constructive, which means that he delegates power and authority
yes,
because he believes in empowering his team so that they
yes,
can achieve common goals together. And
yes,
the second way of using it is considering, okay, yes, everything belongs to me, and since I'm the decision maker and I'm sitting in the big chair, hence I
yes,
control everything and I do not delegate at all.
yes.
The
But
first
then you're
case
going to
is
die.
constructive, the second case is destructive because it's going to make you lose the power eventually or lose on other things.
No, the part is that when you're sitting with all the power and people are listening attentively, they're laughing at your jokes and all that kind of stuff, your ego grows. If you have not understood what power is, the power is, you can say, you use the word empower. So
Right,
10 years ago, I was a leader in a bank and I was manipulating, controlling, micromanaging everybody because I got the power. And I got a stick and and a carrot, and this was how I was leading, but it was not at all beneficial because I was not
right.
listening. I was not listening. In the moment we
Mm,
start empowering people, in giving them power, we delegate with authority. Why am I
yes,
hiring other people? Why am I
yes.
hiring people that is much more intelligent than me in some areas? And if I'm
Absolutely,
going to,
because you believe, yeah, that is because you believe that in delegating your work and responsibility and authority with them, you will be able to make the business grow and thrive.
yes,
That's one prime objective.
the reason I hire people that's much more intelligent than me in some areas is that first of all, I don't know whatever should be done. And I'm not going to control and lead them. I'm going to lead them in the way that I'm giving them a visualizing the picture of where I want my business to go.
Right.
I'm visualizing the picture of the win. I'm visualizing the picture of the success. And it's all up to
Success.
them to make it happen. How?
Yes.
It's not my problem. I trust them to do
Right.
it.
Right. So you mean
So
that it's important for a leader to give enough freedom to his people so that they can
yes,
perform
yes,
according to their potential, or maybe greater than their potential, because he
yes,
lets them decide and find their own way, find their own
yes,
strategies, their own methods of achieving success, which is the target of
yes,
everybody.
yes. This is how you'll get performance. This is
Yeah.
how people are growing. If I'm hiring a young person in the age of 18 to 2022, that person will know all about social media, social marketing, all everything. I'm not going to get involved in the process. I'm saying I have the vision of our company going this way. How are we?
Yes.
This is the strategy. This is the strategy of the company. But the operation of the company is now delegated to this person, and I totally trust this person is doing in doing that thing.
Yeah.
Me and I need to supply or I need to give him the resources needed to reach the target. I have visualized
Yes.
the target for the person, but it's up to him to tell me which resources are needed so he can start operating according to the strategy of the organization.
Yeah.
Can you follow what I'm saying
And this
now?
is important. Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Absolutely, absolutely. But in the moment, you can say, I don't check my ego, which I didn't do when I was a leader in a bank. I got the strategic goals and things from the office in the head office. And then I was just picking out and saying, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this. I made the budget and I didn't listen to the people. What we're talking about is the planning. What we're talking about is the
Yeah.
monitoring. What we're talking about
Yeah.
is the communication. And communication, you can never over communicate.
Oh
And
yeah.
you always need to follow up. And then you need to organize.
Yes.
So the right resources are there. But what we're talking about when we have an ego, I'm saying you have three influences of an ego. You have the person who is now promoted because he was good at something and now he got a big
Right.
salary. Now he's put in an office. Now he's Mr. Know Everything.
Hmm. Right.
The other part is that the employees, if they are not having the courage
Hmm.
to ask for the resources, to ask, to communicate. If you don't communicate the right way to your employees, you're setting them up to fail.
Yes, so communication is important. But Fleming, how can
Absolutely.
ego interfere with communication? How can
The
ego,
point
a leader's ego, interfere with communication?
the point is that when you are the leader, and as I said in the beginning, you have blind spots. An
Yeah.
inflated ego corrupts our behavior. It corrupts our values. It corrupts everything because
Right.
I'm Mr. Know Everything. I know everything. And
Right.
if I have that, you can say, if I have that as a navigator, then I'm not
Hmm.
listening at all. Then my
Right.
world will slowly become a lot more, yeah, a lot more small. The,
Small.
the the
Okay.
thing is, yeah, because I don't know what's going on. I only
Right.
have my own assumptions and my own impatience. The other part
Hmm.
is that
One
the
minute.
more my ego is growing, and I think
Hmm.
I'm the sole architect of success, I
Right.
tend to be more rude, more selfish, and more likely to interrupt others.
Yeah.
And when I am in this, you can say, especially in areas of setback and criticism. So it prevents us from learning from mistakes and failures. And it creates a defensive wall that makes it difficult to appreciate the rich lesson we have from failure. It inflates it narrow our vision and it narrow our direction.
Yeah.
We always look for only things that confirms our idea of
Hmm.
success.
Right.
We're not listening to anything else.
Yeah.
So we lose the perspective and end up in this leadership bubble where we only see and hear what we want to see and hear.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because we are rude and we're selfish and we are interrupting. Every time somebody is putting something on the table that's not matching our belief or our
Yeah.
idea, then we're just, you know that yourself when you were
Yeah,
hired
but
50
that
years
is
ago.
absence of, that's absence of flexibility.
There is no flexibility because the ego is standing in the way. The other part, when this ego is there, we are also very predictable. It's very easy for other people to take advantage of us. Can you follow?
How can you have to explain this a little bit? How it becomes easy for people to take advantage of us?
Because we are very predictable. And that means that I know because when I was working in a bank, not as a leader, but as the deputy leader, I knew exactly how to access my leader because I knew he was so predictable. I could introduce him to a case and he said no. 3 months later, I just twisted the same case and he said yes because I
Yeah.
knew what he wanted to hear. I knew how I
So,
could butter
yeah,
up.
you have just given a way of handling such a person. So, if your leader, for example, is not showing the flexibility of being open to new ideas and accepting your recommendations, one good way is to that you tweak your recommendation in a way that it appears less threatening and more welcoming to your leader.
The thing is that these, you can say, ego leaders, if you introduce something to them and you introduce it as their idea, according to their beliefs, then they will
They're
more
more
likely
likely to
say
accept.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they're a lot more likely to accept. You just need to tweak
Okay.
it using their words, um, using their way of seeing things. And
Right.
sometimes when I myself was introducing an idea, 3 months later it came up as this guy's idea. I just planted the seed. I didn't care about the prestige or the win or the success.
Right.
It was not important for me. I just cared about, you can say, the client or the case. So
True.
if I
True.
planted the seeds and then water it a little bit on the way, in the end, it will show up like this guy, this leader came up with a great success, with a great
Yeah.
idea. Actually, it was mine, but I just planted it, and then it grew.
Yes.
So
And I believe when such a situation happens, and then it results in growth, it's mutual growth, and it's to the advantage of not just one person, but the entire team and the company itself.
yes,
And as a team, this is something that should be a prime objective for everybody, including the leader and his team.
yeah. But the part here is that, as I said before, for me it was not very important who got the honor of this great idea or who got the
Yes.
honor of this client, and that's where we have ego playing around.
Yeah.
Because if I have the ego as an employee and I want the honor and all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
then we're not communicating the right way.
Exactly.
But the part here is that if we really want, if we want the best leader and we want the highest performance, then the leader needs to know that his assumptions he needs to put aside. The leader needs to
Yes.
know that his beliefs he needs to put aside. He needs to start
True.
listening. He needs to start asking the question, what if the data is wrong? What if my information is wrong? What if actually, ex, you can say, expose his thinking? If the leader exposes his thinking, what do you think about this? The idea I'm talking about. Then he's inviting you in. But that's where we want to move, because where does the ego come from? I have an ego,
Yeah.
you have an ego.
Everybody
Am
has
I?
it.
Yes. So I will not be me and you will not be you if we didn't have the ego. But the part
Yeah.
is, how do we navigate by the ego? The day the danger comes in the moment that we start trusting ourselves and we start, you can say, defending our, you can say, position. Where does that come
Okay.
from? In the moment we start defending our position, that's because we got inferiority.
Yes, and a sense of insecurity. We feel like, okay, we have hired people stronger and more talented than ourselves, so we feel threatened. This is
Yes,
what
and then we
happens to
need,
a leader who is very much caught into his own ego.
yeah, that's because his ego becomes a target. He needs to defend that all the time. And that's actually the problem. If I'm looking at myself, when I was a leader in a bank, I absolutely didn't see myself having an ego. I was
Okay.
really thinking that I was helping a lot of people. I put aside a lot of things, I compromised myself. But the part is, why did I do that? Did I do that really to be generous and help people? Or did I do it because I was dysfunctional?
Dysfunctional.
Yes.
Why do you say that? Why do you say
I was
that? Now I need to know.
I was dysfunctional because the part here is that I had the big hole of being left alone, of nobody loves me. That's the DNA I grew up with. That nobody, no matter what you do, it'll not be good enough. I can easily understand that nobody likes you. So the reason I compromised myself and my family and always kept people in control was that I was fearing of being rejected.
Okay. So you believe that when a person receives a lot of rejection and he feels that nobody loves him, there are chances of his becoming more egoistical,
Yes.
and he might feel more threatened by the presence of others
Yeah, now you're disappearing. Okay, I can't hear you, but I was dysfunctional. That's where I want to continue to talk. I put a lot of things aside and compromised myself. I compromised my family, but not for the benefits of others, because I never gave them the solution. I never empowered people. I never delegated with authority. I never gave them the freedom. I kept them in control. And that was my fear of losing, my fear of getting rejected, my fear of getting isolated. So when we're talking here about ego, you're actually isolating yourself from everybody else.
Yes.
And that becomes as a prophecy of self-fulfillment. What you're fearing, you're actually getting. Can you follow what I'm saying now?
Yes, yes, I got it. So when a leader becomes more defensive of his authority,
Yes.
he is actually isolating himself from the fear of isolation from others.
He's actually a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because
Okay.
when people are laughing at his jokes, it's only because of his power. When people are listening, it's only because of his power, which he's not giving away. So if he was the fly sitting by the water place or the water, whatever you call it, the water, yeah, the water drinking place in the office or the smoking area. If he was a fly and he could hear what people were saying, then he may grow up.
Okay.
Then he may change.
Yes.
Because what people are saying is absolutely not good stuff. It's not. He's absolutely not building a legacy.
Okay.
He's just isolating himself more and more. And the other part is that his values, his behavior is also corrupted.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
this situation is not very well.
Yes. So, what are some of the ways in which a leader can deal with his ego issues and allow people and his team and himself to grow? One good way is, like you said, good communication flow. Another
Yeah,
good way is overcoming insecurity.
yeah. The part is another friend of mine who is CEO of a large, you can say, like Carrefour. When he got CEO, he had a parking spot in front of the building. What did he do with that parking spot? He planted flowers and put benches on it for people to rest. He didn't park his car there. He was actually he got the perks. So when we as leaders get the perks, we need to evaluate: do we really want them? The guy or the CEO of Carlsberg Group said, "I'm not going to sit in my ivory tower. I'm going to sit with the people." So when we are getting all the perks we are offered in the role of being CEO, we need to evaluate if we really want them or if those are, you can setting us apart from what we really need to do. We need to
Okay.
be connected with employees. Need to be connected with culture. We need to be connected with clients and so on and so on. So putting ourselves aside is absolutely not a good idea.
Yes, true, true.
And then, of course, you need to support. Just like you said, you need to support, you need to empower, and you need to work with people who is not feeding your ego, who got the courage to tell you this is not a good idea.
Yeah, okay. I like the word courage here.
Yeah, but that's, as I said in the beginning, the ego is feeded by culture in a company, by myself as being successful, and the people. So if I surround myself with my 20% who may have the courage to open up and say, you know what, this is not a great idea.
Yeah.
And what about? And you need to listen and you have to understand we have
Hmm.
these things going on. So this is, you need to hire smart people who have the confidence
Yes.
to speak up. Another part is that
Okay.
humility and gratitude
Right.
is the cornerstone of selflessness.
Hmm.
So the value of humility and, you can say, the mindset of gratitude really
Right.
helps you. In the
It
moment you
does.
meet a leader who got humility, in the moment you meet a leader who has changed his expectation for appreciation,
Yes.
then you have a totally different connection.
Absolutely true.
So
I
this
have
is
a
where,
feeling, like from your discussion, Fleming. Sorry to cut you short. From your discussion,
mhm,
I got this idea right now, right away.
yeah,
The human nature, and it's bent towards positivity, towards
yes,
gratitude, towards humility, towards
yes,
compassion, towards
yes,
empathy. That's
yes,
where lies the saving grace for every leader. So, a more empathetic and compassionate leader, a more humble and understanding leader, a more open and flexible person in a leadership role is likely to succeed and stay healthy and think healthily than any other person.
Of course he is. Of course he is. Because we know that trust is a thing you need because you need to get the permission from the people to lead them.
Yeah.
You cannot lean on authority because then you only got the whip and the carrot. If you get trust into the picture and you get the permission to lead the people, and trust is building relationship, we know that. Trust is expertise and judgment. Trust is consistency. The other part is that if you go, or if you as a leader take a moment every day and say, who made me successful today?
Right.
And went to them and said, you know what, you did a great job. It was super good. I couldn't have done this without you. Then you'll also get a totally different picture. If you're not
Yes,
taking
true.
credit of everything yourself, but you're actually reflecting on all the people that were a part of making you successful today or
Right.
made you successful to reach the position you got, then you have a totally different perspective.
Absolutely true. You will
So,
think
so
differently. You will perceive yourself differently.
yeah, you have the humility and seeing who you are and seeing that those people in your team are absolutely needed. Otherwise, we would never reach the vision, the success, the excellence of the organization. But then you're
Yeah.
starting appreciation. Then you change
Okay.
expectation to appreciation. And this is a totally
Okay.
different view
I like
because
the
you
shift.
are, yeah, if you have expectations, you can be rude and you can be selfish and you can
More critical, more judgmental.
absolutely more critical because you have expectations and you're judging and people are late and a lot of things is going on and it's your fault and so on. But if you have appreciation and compassion, you have a totally different, you're standing on humility. You're standing on that you are not the only one, which are the reason for you being where you are today.
Yes, true. And it's important for a leader to understand that. Because a leader cannot stand alone. If he doesn't have his people around him, there is no leadership left.
No, there's only micromanagement. There's not no leadership. There's control and manipulation.
Yeah.
There's no. That's where I'm saying you got the position. You may get the position, but you only got the authority to lead. You don't have
Yes, yes,
permission to
true.
lead. And
Yes.
the
So
moment you get
that
permission,
becomes, yeah, that becomes very positional, no?
it is only a position, and people may not even want to show up. People are only showing up because they get a salary and nothing more. And you can say you yourself sometimes have people not showing up at the right time, and
Yes.
that's another part. So the part here is that when we are looking into my case, I had inferiority. I had the expectation of being rejected, and that was why
Okay.
I was egocentric. That was why I was controlling. What I
Right.
learned, what I've been learning for the last, you can say, decade, is that you got five levels. You got five
Right.
levels of leadership. You got five levels of intelligence. And you need to step out of the social intelligence and become who you really are. You need to be appreciating people. You need to get the permission to lead the people. You need to be a people developer. You need to empower people. You need to plan the strategies. You need to give the people the resources. Some of the things I've heard from leaders is actually that everybody is always coming with problems to me, but then I'll tell them, you know what? Take a look in the mirror. Are you delegating? Are you empowering? Are you inviting people to speak up? Are you listening to people? when they come with great ideas, because you can actually
Yes,
change that.
change that. True.
But
True.
it was a little bit what we were talking with Faisa about, that the perception is that the leader needs to be positional. The leader needs to direct and control. No, he does not. Because in the moment you give the people the freedom, their well-being, their satisfaction, everything will change. But
Yes, true.
that's for the people, the employees, to take the responsibility, the ability to respond to this new setup. I
Right.
have engaged many leaders who are dying because they have all the responsibility. They need to make all the decision because they had never delegated.
Right.
They never empowered.
Yeah.
So it's a two-way street. And I say
It is
courage from
always a two-way
employees.
street.
And it's actually a three-way street, because you have the C-suite, the boardroom, who set up the perks, who set up the identity or how you engage with the leader. You got the employees who needs the courage, and you got the leader who needs the humility and the compassion and the appreciation.
Yes, true. All right.
Otherwise,
Thank you
nothing
so
is
much for
happening.
today, Fleming. Yes.
Yes, thank you very much.
I really enjoyed our today's discussion, and we are planning to continue the same stream, talking more about efficient and effective leadership even in our next episode. And we expect
We
Fleming
we
to
we
share more stories with us.
Yeah, we have a lot of. I have actually now made 20 speaker gigs, and we can start focusing on them, because that's what the organization wants out there.
Okay.
So instead of just getting things done, execute with excellence. How to thrive in, you can say, in a ongoing, changing, unexpected, changing environment. This is the world today.
Hmm. Yes, it
How
is. It
to
is.
what we are seeing here is that 68% of CEOs all over the world, by surveys, actually see that they need to grow a lot. They need to learn to visualize the win. They need to. You can never over communicate. It's impossible to over communicate, but communication is a lot. It's too little out there. And by too
Okay.
little communication, you set up your employees for failure. Because if you can't
Yeah.
communicate the vision, the mission, the strategies, the goals, and everything, then they can't execute.
True. Absolutely true.
Great. Wonderful.
All right. See you next week, Fleming. Thank you so much for today. And everybody, thank you so much for being with us.